UFC 326 Holloway versus Oliveira 2 was last night, and I'm going to go through and recap the entire card from the bottom all the way to the top, give my full reaction and kind of breakdown of what happened in each fight, and some of my thoughts on maybe what's next for each of these fighters. We're going to start all the way down at the bottom with light heavyweight bout of Luke Fernandez versus Rodolfo Bellato. Um, this one I got wrong. I had picked Luke Fernandez to win this, and I just thought he was going to be the better striker. I thought he was going to be cleaner, more technical, and was going to be able to put a little bit more damage onto Rodolfo Bellato. But Luke Fernandez got too comfortable in there because he was looking real good at the start of this fight. He was landing his jab at will, was landing right hands whenever he wanted to, but his hands slowly dropped lower and lower and were being less protective. And Rodolfo Bellato, on one of the breaks of a clinch, landed a short hook, just tagged Luke Fernandez right across his jaw, sets him down, and then Bellato got on top of him, ground and pound, finishes the fight, and wins this fight by a first round KO. Yeah, but Luke Fernandez looked good out there. He's just got to stay tighter as the fight goes on. Rodolfo Bellato somehow manages to get it done and keep his job in the UFC. Um, yeah, and he got a performance of the night bonus for that. Then we had Rafael Tobias versus Dair Nurgaje. Um, this one I got wrong too. I started the night off really, really bad. Tobias, I knew was a good grappler, a decent grappler, and I thought Dair Nurgaje looked real bad in his last fight, in his last two fights. But Tobias went out and I think shot three total takedowns the entire fight, and Nurgaje just looked good on the feet. Was crisper, was looser, was landing better. Tobias landed a couple times. Um, rocked Nurgaje a good amount or in one round, but then just it wasn't able to capitalize on it at all. And yeah, Dair Nurgaje definitely won this fight. And Tobias just did not do any of the things I thought he was gonna do in this fight. Um, yeah, then we move up to Suma Duerchi versus Jesus Aguilar. Suma Duerchi looked really good in this fight. He was really crisp with it. He stayed out of the way of damage most of the fight. Was landing really good counters on the way out from Jesus Aguilar because Aguilar was just throwing with his head down and just throwing wild punches. Nothing really too much of note was thrown by Jesus Aguilar that actually landed. Suma Duerchi was just landing when he wanted to, was able to just trip up and throw around Jesus Aguilar anytime he needed to. And yeah, Suma Duerchi looked really good in this fight. I'm excited for his next fight because it was like a somewhat entertaining fight, although it did go to decision. It was just a cool fight to see. And yeah, Suma Duerchi gets it done. I got that one right. So on the early prelims, I was 1 for 2. Um, and yeah, then we move up to Cody Durden versus Knight. Oh, wrong thing. Then we move up to Cody Durden versus Nyman Jargle, Tuman Dembrell. Yeah, Nyman Jargle, he he cheated a bunch in this fight. With cage grabs and just dirty moves, and probably should not have deserved to win this fight, but he does get the decision, so I did technically get this one right. Cody Durden, though, seemed like he was not even remotely willing to stand on the feet with Nyman Jargle. I mean, he was just shooting a takedown every second he got, and then it would get reversed, and Tunam Dembrell would end up on top and just would get points for that round. I mean, nothing really of note happened in this fight. It just seemed like Cody Durden was obsessed with shooting takedowns immediately every time he was up. Like he would get up after having shot a takedown, ending up on bottom, get up, shoot another takedown, and end up right back on bottom. Like he played this fight so dumb. But yeah, Nyman Jargle to Dembrell won this fight. I got that one right, but honestly, it just didn't feel good to see him win because he was cheating, and it was kind of a lackluster performance from both of them. Then we had Ricky Tercios versus Alberto Montez. This fight was actually a pretty good performance and was pretty fun. Um, Alberto Montez went out there, had very crisp striking against Ricky Tercios. Tercios really didn't have much for Alberto Montez this entire fight. And um, Alberto Montez was just waiting for that time where he could cinch up his choke and was just landing shots slowly but surely, um, wearing on Ricky Tercios, and then he lands a shot, hurts Ricky Tercios, and then a little bit after that, he starts closing the distance, and Ricky starts shooting a lot more in the second round. And Ricky shoots it in the second round against Montez. Montez adjusts it, gets the Anaconda choke in, and when that happened, we all knew it was over. That's Alberto Montez's signature, is an Anaconda choke. He tightens it up and puts Ricky Tercios out, and yeah, Ricky Tercios, I believe, he did go out. I don't think he was out for a long time, but he went to sleep. And Montez looked really good out there. I'm excited to see him in his next fight, because this was a really good performance from him. And yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with him going forward in the UFC, because he has the potential to be a pretty entertaining fighter. Just the way he was striking, the way he was willing to grapple when he needed to, it was a really good performance from Alberto Montez. Then Dante Johnson, Cody Brundage. This fight was bleh. Honestly, I mean, it's a Cody Brundage fight. What can you expect? But Dante Johnson, for being somebody that was supposed to just steamroll through everybody, um, was supposed to finish everybody in the first or second round or whatever. This fight, he did really nothing. Cody Brundage won the first round, got some position on him, and then Dante Johnson getting up, he was able to land stuff on the feet, was able to stuff takedowns, but he looked so strange when he was striking. Like he was like putting his head all the way back and keeping his like stomach in front of him, but he was like shaking when he was doing it, and he was like wobbling like he was drunk, and then would land really nothing of note most of the fight. Would just land like a jab or a couple shots. Cody Brundage really just had no willpower to even progress and win this fight, and Dante Johnson was able to just slowly stroll to the win. But yeah, Cody Brundage, we didn't have much hope for him anyway, but Dante Johnson, now his stock is at an all-time low. And yeah, this just was not a very interesting fight, really, in the slightest. Then we get back to Cody Garbrandt versus Zhao Long. This fight was the weirdest fight in UFC history. Honestly, this one was all sorts of strange and weird, and the fact that Cody Garbrandt won this, he deserved it, but was very weird. This fight had, I'm just going to say some of the stuff that was in this fight that if I told you this for any other fight, you would have been like, what in the world? This fight had a head clash that almost knocked out the Zhao. Cody Garbrandt shooting for a takedown almost knocked out Zhao with a head clash. This fight had a elbow from Cody Garbrandt against the fence that almost knocked out Zhao, but Zhao won those rounds still. Just won that round even though he almost got knocked out with an elbow and he was dazed from the head clash. But then there were 3 nut kicks in this, or nut punches, hits in this fight, where Cody Garbrandt ended up throwing up after this one. After this kick, Cody Garbrandt threw up in this fight. He threw up in the cage after this fight because he got kicked so hard that he legitimately was on the floor throwing up after it. And there were 2 points deducted from this fight by Herb Dean because Zhao kept going low and landing nut kicks. And so 2 points were deducted. Zhao won the first 2 rounds, almost 100%. And he kept landing nut kicks, got 2 points deducted from himself, so those rounds pretty much mean nothing. And then, yeah, Cody vomited into a bucket, which is the first time ever, and technically should have ended the fight with a doctor's stoppage because that is technically part of the rules, but they kept it going. After he threw up, Cody Garbrandt gets back up, is pacing around the cage, looking pissed off. Zhao is matching that energy. They restart the fight, and Cody full charges at him, goes to do a flying knee. Zhao, instead of just going out of the way of it or trying to throw something over it, jumps into Cody. So they literally ran at each other from across the cage, and body slammed into each other, fell back against each other, and then when they were standing across from each other, just yelling at each other, and then there was really nothing else major in the fight that happened. I mean, this was I like Cody won this fight. He probably should not have won this fight, but after all the stuff Zhao did, causing Cody to throw up in that octagon, with 3 different nut kicks, that's crazy. I mean, yeah, Cody, I think I could have seen him barely winning it, because I think if he wins the last round, it's a 10. It was probably a 9-9, a 9-9, and then a 10-9 for Cody. So I could see Cody getting it, but I don't really care, and I was delusional enough to pick Cody, so I'm happy it turned out like this. But yeah, the weirdest fight in UFC history by far, and it was the first fight on CBS on national television for UFC. Was this fight? I mean, just absolutely wild. Um, and yeah, we move up from the prelims to Gregory Rodriguez versus Bruno Fajea. Man, RoboCop hits different. Um, this was insanity. In the first round, 3 minutes and 15 seconds into the round, Gregory Rodriguez knocks out Bruno Fajea with one punch. They literally reversed the roles in this fight from their first one. The first one, Bruno Fajea steps up on short notice to fill in to help or to fight Gregory Rodriguez and knocks out Gregory Rodriguez. This time, RoboCop steps in on short notice to fill in for Bruno Fajea to have an opponent, and RoboCop sleeps Bruno Fajea. Only logical thing might be to just have them fight each other on a full camp in 3 years from now, but yeah, sleeps him with one punch. Nothing really was thrown before this that had any real significance. This was the first real punch Gregory threw, I think. If I can check, yeah, he landed. There were 2 total strikes landed by Bruno, 2 total strikes landed by RoboCop, and this was one of the strikes. Crazy, sleeps him out. And yeah, it was just RoboCop hits different, man. He's a jiu-jitsu specialist that hits like that. I don't know what they're gonna do for him now. Maybe they give him a DeRitter coming off of that loss. Maybe they give him the Cannonier fight back. I don't know, but crazy good performance from him, and he got performance of the night for it. Absolutely amazing. It came out of nowhere. It felt like that was one of the things we needed, especially for a CBS while on national television. RoboCop to perform like that it was awesome. Then we move up to Drew Dober versus Michael Johnson. Now this one, I mean the last one was a crazy knockout by Bruno Fajea. This one was crazy too. This one, because I did not expect it to be such a flatline knockout. RoboCop Bruno Fajea, you expected it. You expected 2 guys throwing full power to knock each other out. This one, I expected it to be a fun, damaging fight, but not to get somebody slept immediately. This that punch from Drew Dober was perfect. Sleeps Michael Johnson bad in the second round. Just a perfect shot. Drew Dober's been talking about the narratives around him with the certain fighters and how he only beats certain fighters, but obviously Drew Dober is not a racist. He is not selectively doing it. It's just a funny meme that is what happens, and it's kept on continuing. I mean, it was Drew Dober looked good out there. Michael Johnson was landing good shots too. For 39 years old, being as fast as he still is crazy. There's a lot of guys in the UFC that he can still beat. Um, there's Drew Dober though looked good out there. He was landing pretty well, and this punch literally perfect, picture perfect. I think this is knockout of the year so far right now. Um, and this it was a picture perfect punch. There was a even nicer angle of it somewhere, but yeah, it looked it was so out of nowhere, but it shocked me. Great performance by Drew Dober, and staying in there because I believe I would have said Michael Johnson was probably winning the fight. Probably won the first round, was close second round. It was a close first round too, but I would have said Michael Johnson was winning, and Drew Dober lands the shot, puts him out, and yeah, I'm excited for whatever they do for both of these guys next because they both put on a fun fight, and yeah, I got this one wrong. But I'm not too upset that I got it wrong because it was just such a crazy knockout. Obviously, Drew Dober got performance of the night for that performance. Then we move up to Rob Font, Raul Rosas Jr. There's really nothing much to say about this fight at all. I got this one right. Raul Rosas Jr. beats Rob Font in a 3-round decision. I figured there was going to be a submission in the second round, but Raul Rosas Jr. really just held, didn't really go for any submissions. I don't think he went for a single submission that I can remember, and barely landed any ground and pound. We'll get to the main event later, but this and the main event are not in the same category of boring. This is very, very, very boring. Raul Rosas Jr. really didn't try and land anything. This is not the most boring fight we've ever seen, but Raul Rosas just didn't land much. There were some fun scrambles in this, but that was really it. And yeah, Raul Rosas Jr. just smothered Rob Font for the entire fight and ends up winning. Not much really to talk about, so I'm just gonna move on swiftly. Yeah, Rob Font loses. I got this one right. Then we go up to the co-main event of the evening: Caio Baralho versus Reinier de Ridder. I got this one correct with picking Caio Baralho because I was right. Caio Baralho had a good game plan going in here. That's kind of what I was betting on, was that he was going to have the better game plan and was going to know what he needed to do. And the thing he needed to do was put Reinier de Ridder on the back foot, not let him start snowballing towards you and just winning the way he needs to win. Looked really good on the feet in the first round. Great striking. Second round, Reinier de Ridder was landing a little bit better. But I would have still said it was Caio Baralho. I think Caio Baralho might have won every round of this fight, but Caio Baralho looked really good. Just striking was very good. His hands were low, so he was able to defend takedowns. Reinier de Ridder wasn't able to really land much at all in this fight. Was missing shots, whiffing shots, and just didn't look like he had the motivation to go out there and destroy Caio Baralho. And that's kind of what he needed to do. He needed to stop Caio Baralho because the way that they fight, Caio takes punches a lot better than Reinier de Ridder. Reinier de Ridder winces and falls back and falls out of line when he gets hit. Caio Baralho takes it and then throws one of his own. So you really need to land something of note. Reinier de Ridder had good rounds, good second round. They were closer than the first, but he just didn't do enough to win this fight. And yeah, Caio Baralho gets it done. Calls out Dricus du Plessis. I think Brendan Allen and Dricus du Plessis should fight. I think Caio Baralho should fight. He can't fight Imavov because he just lost to Imavov. He can't fight Strickland because there's a high chance Strickland's going to fight for the title. I think it should be Baralho versus Strickland, but also could be Baralho versus the winner of Adesanya versus Pfeiffer. But yeah, Reinier de Ridder, I think should fight like a RoboCop, and get RoboCop a chance to go up in the rankings. Or Reinier de Ridder versus Fluffy. We almost had that fight. Let's actually get it. But yeah, Caio Baralho wins a 3-round decision over Reinier de Ridder in a somewhat entertaining fight, but very, very sloppy on Reinier de Ridder's half. Then we get to the main event of the evening: Max Holloway versus Charles Oliveira for the BMF belt. 5-round fight, and there's a lot of stuff that's going to be said about this fight. I've already seen it. Yes, this fight was not the most entertaining BMF fight ever. That's a fact. This is the worst BMF fight we've had. I was hoping for a lot more, but the thing I was hoping for or expecting to give us a lot more was that Holloway was going to be able to defend a takedown, any takedown. And Charles Oliveira just grabbed him, threw him on the ground, and dominated. I mean, this is the worst loss, honestly, other than maybe the Volkanovski 3 fight. This is the worst loss in Holloway's career, because he just had no moments of success, literally at all. Oliveira won every exchange in this fight from beginning to end, on the ground and on the feet. There was not a moment of this fight that Holloway won at all. No striking exchanges, nothing. Oliveira won every striking exchange, put Holloway on the back foot, got to him, threw him on the ground immediately. And because Oliveira would open up with striking every round, obviously, you start on your feet, would land a good shot, and then would grab Holloway, throw him on the ground, and go for submission or go for ground and pound. Did he go for it as much as he probably could have? No. Should he have gone for it more? Yes. But people saying that Oliveira's boring as a fighter and that he's this and he's that and this and that and this and that. Oliveira is still one of the most exciting fighters in the UFC, without a doubt. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's a grappler. He went for finishes in every round of this fight, especially those first 2 rounds. He was going for his finish literally every second of the fight. He was going for something. The third round, not as much. The fourth and fifth, he slowed up a lot. But he was still dominantly winning it and landing good shots when they were on the feet and going for stuff every now and then on the ground. He could have just opened up a little bit more. The thing that sucks about this fight is that there was the feeling of, yeah, this is a BMF fight. There should probably be a lot more striking. But if this was not a BMF belt fight, we would not be remotely worried about how much striking was involved. I think the expectations from the other BMF fights that I even had too, and I let get to me too, were that this was going to be majorly on the feet. But we also had that idea because Holloway had good takedown defense in most of our minds. In this one, he just did not. He did not have a good enough takedown defense to deal with Charles Oliveira. And Oliveira went on the feet, was winning every single point of it. Even the final 7-second point down that Holloway broke his own rules. But Charles Oliveira landed a shot to wobble Holloway and a front kick and then another shot. Oliveira looked great out there. He did. If there was no BMF belt on the line here, the only narrative coming out of this was, yeah, this wasn't the most entertaining Charles Oliveira performance, but it was the best Charles Oliveira performance. The most dominant against one of the best competitions he's ever had. It would have been a better version. This would be a better version of the Michael Chandler 2 fight, is what this was. Was a wow performance where, yeah, there was some negatives coming out of it, but he still did great. The fact that it was from the BMF belt put it on a pedestal that, in the end, I don't know if it should have. Oliveira obviously deserved to fight for the BMF belt. He's one of the baddest people in the UFC. Both of these guys are. And I think just Oliveira had such a good game plan going into this fight. This was from the first round where he landed some bad elbows from the top or from the back, but Holloway just had nothing for him in this fight. And I'm gonna say it. I am biased to like this fight more than most people because I love Oliveira. Oliveira is one of my favorite fighters, is probably my favorite fighter, and I love seeing him win. But I also love Holloway, and it sucks to see him get shut down like that. It's just the only thing is that this is not like a JDM versus Islam Makhachev. This is not like a Hamzat versus Dricus. Because Charles was going for finishes. Charles was going for stuff. Yes, he slowed up in the last couple rounds, but the first 3 rounds, he was really going for it. For the first 2 rounds, he was 100% going for it literally the entire time. And on the feet, when it was on the feet, even though it was only for a little bit, was a great performance by Charles. Charles was landing great on the feet against Max Holloway and just putting it on him. And Max just was unable to get any ground game off and unable to literally do anything, defend any takedowns. He was just able to defend submissions. And against somebody like Oliveira, that is literally what you have to do, and it sucks that somebody like Oliveira, you have to defend submissions or else you're done. And it takes away a lot of time to do anything else because Oliveira is constantly going for stuff. That's what this ended up being. The Hamzat and Dricus fight, it was more of a thing of Hamzat gets the crucifix and does nothing and doesn't go for anything, but the position is so bad for Dricus that Dricus just doesn't have the ability to get out. This fight was more of a Oliveira lands some good shots, gets Holloway down quickly, and then gets onto him and is trying to finish him to the point where Holloway can't even think about getting up because he has to think about defending a submission. So he is worrying about getting submitted more than he's worried about getting up. And that's just because of how good Oliveira is. Now, I'm 100% very biased in liking this fight, but this was still an entertaining fight in some regard. It was not fight of the year like I was hoping it was going to be. It is not the best fight of Holloway's career entertainment wise. It is not the best fight of Holloway's career entertainment wise. But there is ways this fight could have been a lot worse if Holloway would have just sat on top of him and done nothing for all 5 rounds. He only did that for parts of the fourth and the fifth. The first 3 were still really fun grappling fights. But I do think I agree with a lot of people now that retire the BMF. Maybe if they want to do a Oliveira versus McGregor, but I think you retire the BMF. You do Oliveira versus Arman too, and let Oliveira get closer to a title shot. And yeah, Max Holloway fights somebody lower on in the rankings. Maybe even if Holloway, I would tell Holloway right now, stay prepared for the White House card. If there is somebody that falls out, stay prepared. If Oliveira, stay prepared for the White House card. I would even be training for somebody like Ilya or Gaethje because he has history with both of them coming off of a huge win over Max Holloway. He could definitely try and slip in if Gaethje got injured, if Topuria got injured, slip in for the main event of the White House, which I'm going to do a separate video just to talk about the White House card. But this puts Oliveira in a great spot. He's the BMF champion. I think they should retire the BMF, though. We've had 5 fights of it. 4 of them were incredible fight. Well, 3 of them were incredible fights. 2 of them ended by doctor stoppage, which was still a fun fight, but lackluster. This one went lackluster in terms of just straight entertainment, but there were still very exciting moments, and anybody who's saying that this was boring from the beginning to the end is lying to you. And this is never going to make me dislike Charles anymore. I'm always happy just to see an Oliveira win, and this doesn't make me think for a second that Oliveira is a boring fighter or he's like the Russian fighters that sit on top and do nothing. Oliveira was only able to be on top or be in control of this fight for so long because he was threatening submissions. He wasn't doing it with just using his weight and laying on you and making sure you can't move. It was him going for submissions to try and make Oliveira or Holloway not be able to do anything so that he could finish him. Holloway was not in a position to get up most of this fight because he was being threatened with a choke of some kind. And yeah, just a masterclass from Charles Oliveira, and wins the BMF belt. There's a lot of fun stuff for him next. I'm excited to see him against somebody that's got worse submission defense, or against somebody like Arman, who I think he could beat. A 5-round fight with Arman Tsarukyan. You do Charles Oliveira versus Arman Tsarukyan in the main event of some fight night, and that's a banger. That's a banger. I think you need to do it as a main event of a fight night because Arman Tsarukyan does not deserve to fight for a BMF belt. Simple as that. Charles did. Charles does. Obviously, he's a BMF. He deserved to fight for it. There was no arguments about that. Greatest submission threat ever, and one of the most entertaining fighters in UFC history. Arman Tsarukyan does not deserve that honor to fight for the BMF belt, so you can't main event a card with this. Do it as the main event of a fight night or a 5-round co-main event to some card, because Charles Oliveira, Arman Tsarukyan too. I think Charles would have won the first one if it was a 5-round fight, and I think he should have won the first one even though it was only 3 rounds. I think this Charles beats Arman Tsarukyan too. I think he looks better. His wrestling is way better, and his striking looked good against Max Holloway. Max Holloway, I don't know what they do exactly for him next. Somebody lower in the rankings. Maybe it's going to be a Benoit. Maybe it's going to be a Paddy Pimblett. I think they should have probably done Benoit versus Arman by now. Made it for April or May. But Holloway versus Oliveira, still a fun fight. Just did not live up to the expectations. It was sat on a pedestal and it couldn't live up to them, which sucks. But still was a fun fight. Still was a good performance, and I can't take away from that whatsoever. So, yeah. Max Holloway, Charles Oliveira 2. That's the end of the card. I got Holloway wrong. I got Michael Johnson winning wrong. I got Tobias winning wrong, and I got Fernandez winning wrong. So I only got 4 out of the 12 fights, so I got 8 of them right. And yeah, thank you for watching this card breakdown and recap, and let me know what you think of the next cards that they're gonna have. We've got 3 fight nights in a row next. Um, and yeah, I'm gonna do another video to talk about the White House card. Go check that out. And yeah, thank you for watching. Um, Charles Oliveira has a belt around him again. He's the BMF and in a great, great dominant performance. So yeah, thank you for watching.